is not our first rodeo. The A team are back together. I don't even think they need an introduction, to be honest. All I can say is the legends are here. We're all in the house.
Woo! Yep, legends in the house. Good. I really like that. The A team, get it? Like Canada? A? The A team. Hey, bud.
That was good.
Hey, that's the A team. That's what we should go by there, Megs. What do you think? Meegs?
Megan. Get it right.
Yeah.
Megan.
I eat my bacon and eggs.
I just did half an hour ago.
Was it good?
Yeah, because they flipped perfectly on my cast iron pan, and then I giggled thinking like, eggs.
All right, now we've got our little Canadian Australian accent introduction happening. You might wonder what the hell we're doing here, right? I'm starting to wonder myself, but only kidding. I thought today I would get together with the legends for you guys in Strength Seekers and go into a concept that some of you may have come across. And I know certainly part of this, if you've done mindset with me, you've definitely come across. And I'm just going to start with a little story because I love stories. Yeah, about 20 years ago, I had a sore knee. I think at that time I could have even been doing some running. Don't tell anyone I said that, all right?
Secret.
I wasn't right in the head back then. I could have been running.
Walking fast.
And my knee was really sore, and it was sore for quite a while. And once one of my dear friends at the time, who I don't remember who it is right now, actually said to me, Leanne, are you angry with someone at the moment? Now, right in that very moment, I thought, there's something wrong with this person. What do you mean, am I angry? What's that got to do with my knee? My knee's a structure. There's obviously something wrong with my hip or my ankle because the knee's just a joint in between the two, right? So, I just thought that's just weird. That's just weird, and I don't know. I just dismissed it. Let's fast forward 20 years later. The older, wiser Leanne, the 50-year-old Leanne, has learned a few things since then. Now, rather than me delve into this mind, emotion, body connection, I am going to hand it over to my two good friends. We'll start with Mr. Mike Schwartz, Music Fit Mike. Are you running fit, Mike?
Running fit. I'm super fit. I am running. Actually, it's cleared up enough here in Calgary to go run. That's like, I know it's.
And do you run?
I do. Occasionally. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite movement because it is so hard on the joints.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer cycling. I love cycling. I'm a cyclist.
And the other lovely lady who you all know because you all do her movement flows is Megan.
Yeah.
Welcome, Megan. Thank you for being here. And one of the main reasons besides that we're legends as a team that I wanted Megan here is because Megan has a fantastic understanding of the way of how we move our bodies and move our bodies with breath in order to focus in on specific areas of our body. So, with no further ado, Mike, I'm going to ask this one question. A lot of people in the group, and I would dare to say that every single person in Strength Seekers has one area of their body that is currently either feeling really tight, has a niggle, or an injury. When I say an injury, like a tissue or a soft tissue injury or a tendon injury that they're dealing with. Okay, so there are common areas that we deal with, and that constantly as strength athletes, being very commonly the shoulders, the lower back, the knees. There are three main ones. What I'm going to ask you, Mike, is thinking about those common areas that get stuck or stiff or sore. Just like in our story work, our emotions get stored, and people will know chest, stomach. How do our emotions get stored in parts of our body? Can you delve into that for us, please?
Yes. I would love to share with you a story. I remember sitting back when I was first writing my book, and I did a similar process because as musicians, we saw common injuries as well. And I remember going, where are those three areas I've usually hurt? Let's start with me. And I remember like doing this kind of thing. I'm like, oh yeah, the shoulders they're usually pretty tight. Rolling my neck was really sore. I'm like, okay, that's one area for sure. And then I noticed, like, from being on drums and playing some guitar poorly with the wrong technique, I had soreness in my wrists and my elbows, right up into that golfer and tennis elbow. And I noticed most most of the time it was usually my back and my hips. So I'd find myself doing this when I'm sitting at a drum set. I wouldn't be able to sit for a long time. And I used to just sum it up as, because like I'm out of shape. So I went to the gym, I did my deadlifts, I did my back extension, didn't fix any, still sore. This is confusing as fuck, right? Come on. Then my elbows and my wrists, they didn't get better no matter how many times I stretched or did my like flossing or anything like that. Okay, well, this isn't getting better no matter what. Why is that? And then I work up into the neck. Well, surely I'll be able to get my neck sorted out. And I noticed over time, it didn't improve. My shoulders still hurt. My back still hurt. My neck still hurt. Everything still hurt. But I was doing the things. I was doing what the coaches were telling me to do. I was eating the right food. And then I stumbled across a few different practitioners that I had studied in the past, and I dove deeper. One by the name of Mr. Paul Chek, and another by Dr. Sue Morter. And the former is How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, which I'm sure everybody in your audience is at least familiar with. And if you aren't, go pick that book up, How to Eat, Move, Be Healthy by Paul Chek, and The Energy Codes by Dr. Sue Morter. Those two books literally changed my spiritual and emotional life, because I realized that every kind of injury is emotionally based. Why is that? How could that possibly be? I wrecked my shoulder in an accident. Yep. Why did that accident happen in the first place? Question. That's where we got to look at the emotional body is the keeper of all of that stored knowledge that is an injury. It's a belief system when we get down to it. Why? Because we're energy. And that is a fun game that I like to play when anybody is a doubter. So let's assume, Leanne, you're a doubter. Okay, do you want to play a game with me? I love games.
I love games too.
Okay, so Leanne, can you tell me your full name?
Leanne Marie Knott.
Okay, cool. Megan is snickering because she knows what's... Megan is actually a client testimonial that we'll get to in a second after this little exercise to just dispel all the naysayers down under. Leanne, have you ever taken a lie detector test?
No.
Okay. You won't ever have to because you've got one as long as you have two hands. You got two hands? Show me. Okay. You know when you play kettlebells, there's a code, OK grip. When you're doing snatch, endurance, OK grip. Because that prevents, the weightlifters in the group will love this because it prevents your hands from getting ripped to shit when you're kettlebelling. So chalk up and keep an OK grip when you are throwing snatch kettlebells. Okay? OK grip, like that. It allows the handle. Now, we can take that same practice and we can put that finger right here. OK grip me with your left hand. Good job, guys. It's left in North America, not down under. Okay. Okay. We're going to make that, we're going to press. So if you're playing the home game, guys, what I want you to do is make the OK grip. If you're watching the video, if you're not, what you're going to do is you're going to take your index finger, you're going to press it into your thumb. You're not going to let it go. Like you're going, okay. Okay. That's the OK grip. Now you're going to take your other hand. You're going to lace the index finger in between the circle. You're going to try to pull that thing apart. Just go pull. Yeah, with the index finger and like you're making two circles, okay? Pull those circles apart. Yeah. You're trying to pull your left apart with your right. But your left is going to hold down as tight as you possibly can. Like it is the last thing. Like you got to hold down that. You're losing your life if you don't, okay? So now what you're going to do, Leanne, now that you got the game down, you're going to repeat your name to me. I am Leanne. Go for it, okay? And then when you're done, you're going to try to pull the left circle apart with the right. Okay?
Leanne.
Look at that. Look at those guns. Yeah.
So strong.
I believe you. Okay. I believe you. Okay. Now. Yeah. Getting sweaty. Whew.
Get ready.
Unity. Okay. Now, I want you to do the same drill, except your name is now Beyonce Knowles.
I am Beyonce Knowles.
See that? Yep.
She's struggling.
She's struggling. Yeah. It's most noticeable when you first start. Because what'll happen is you'll pull your strength back, but you notice that first little clip, right? Yeah, I saw it.
Fingers.
Yeah. So this proves the point. Your subconscious body is energy. Why? Because there's a short circuit, a rewire, electrical rewire when you say something that your body knows is untrue. I am Beyonce Knowles. Nope. I am Michael Robert Barrett Schwartz. Yep, that's who I am. Okay. Now we take that to I am injured. Nope, I'm not. I am healthy and strong. Look at that. I was nervous with that. I was really nervous with that. This is the automatic lie detector. So we can get to the energy of our being. no matter what it is, any kind of emotion, we can now trace back to whether we truly believe, because there's the conscious, the thought that we talk about a lot with our affirmations and our language. That's surface material. It's deep surface, but it's still surface material. The true belief system happens under the water. This is the iceberg. So the subconscious is actually under the water. This is all the stuff that's happening underneath. And we know that from a little bit of the Unlifted. And I'm sure the people that are listening that have done any sort of story work, they know that there's more to it. There's subconscious work, right? Subconscious stories, subconscious patterns. So when we're talking about injuries with, say, the shoulder, that stored energy actually is a belief system emotionally triggered from something that's going on in our life. Generally, a feeling, not an emotion, because a feeling is subjective. An emotion is neutral. Does that help? That's how it stores cellularly through energy.
So can you, Megan, well, I'm going to throw this over to Megan just to ask another question here. Do you have a specific example of this in your life, of a feeling that has affected a part of your body?
Yeah. How much time
Narrow it
do
down
we
to
got?
This one.
Yeah, when I was going through rehab after I had hip surgery, like I was struggling in the gym and everything hurt. My hip always felt stiff and tight, and I was probably going to need another surgery and all those things. And there was absolutely nothing structurally wrong. Like I was passing every single test. The MRI was good. I saw the pictures from my surgery and I had so much pain and nervousness about it. And I still like so clearly can picture myself sitting in the office with the physiotherapist I was working with at the time. He just kind of stopped in the middle of our conversation and was like, "Have you ever watched a video of your old dance routines?" And like, I pretty much just walked out of his office. I was like, "No, we're done. I'm not doing this." And then 3 weeks later, kind of like poked back in and I was like, "Hi, I'm back. Like, let's talk about that." And then that was the start of what truly rehabbed my hip, was getting into that stuff.
Interesting. So we haven't actually gone there yet, Mike. We've talked about the feeling and how that, is in the subconscious. And can you explain some of the basic human emotions? Because right now people might be thinking, yeah, okay, so it may be some sort of emotional trauma, or it might be, like what sort of feelings are we talking about here that can be stored? Some basic human feelings that we all feel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really easy to remember too, because it spells an acronym, and you know how I love frameworks. False judgment. Okay, you've got 6 primary emotions, and we'll address the thing that's commonly confused. It's commonly said that we have feelings, and that's very different than emotions. Emotions are neutral. Feelings are subjective. How we feel towards emotions is even more complex, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, today. So we'll focus in on the framework of opposite of feelings, of how we feel towards emotions. The emotions that are neutral spell out false judgment. Fear, anger, love, sadness, enjoyment, and judgment. False judgment. Those are the primaries. Now we've got secondaries and tertiaries that spawn from that. Like fear can be anxiety. Fear could be like, those are like separate subsections. These are the primaries. Anger, one would be frustration or irritation. Love could be affection or likeness or even ambition to an extent. Sadness could be guilt, worry, shame, feelings of remorse, those types of things, regret. We've got other emotions that spawn from that, okay? When we get back to the primaries, though, whenever we're going, okay, I've got an injury or I've got some sort of niggle going on in my body, we first rule is take it to the body. Get really specific. When I feel tired, I want to know, where do you feel? When you say, oh, cool, where do you feel that? Because that's a common one. I'm sure a lot of your athletes are overtraining, right? Anybody coming in that hasn't worked with you are likely burning out because they think it's go, 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 and they never really take the time to rest. And then you got to re-educate. So when they say something like, I feel tired, I feel sore. Okay, cool. Let's take it to the body. Where? Okay, cool. What does that soreness feel like? And that's where we can get really interested on the actual emotional piece. When you feel like what kind of feelings come up? Oh, I feel frustrated about it because I can't lift the weight. Cool. Frustration leads to anger. That's amazing. I want to go to that right off the bat. where do you feel that anger? And what is the sensation of anger? And that's where we can trace the actual emotion. Say it's, their shoulder is bothering them, for instance, and they haven't lifted, so they get frustrated about that, but it's in the shoulders. You start exploring down the line and say, okay, John, like you're coming in, you're lifting weight, your shoulder's not bothering you, and now it is, and I just want to know what's going on. Like, is there anything else? Oh yeah, well, I mean, because if he's over a 5 on the scale, it's not about lifting the weight that's actually irritating. We know there's something else up. If you're acting over a 5, we know something else is up. So I like to go in and say, all right, well, that's cool. What else is going on? Just exploring what else is going on in life. Like when you feel that tightness, does that remind you of anything? Anybody outside? And we can stay like in the now. We don't have to go back to childhood. We can, but staying in the now will give them more of a quick result. Yeah, man, I feel this at work all the time. Like, I feel like I'm under pressure of, oh, that's interesting. We've got all these things that he loves his job. Love. So now we know that in the emotional epicenter, we are going to fine tune the L in false judgment. So now I can go, hey, John, well, I love my job. I'd venture that John's shoulder is actually stimulated and accelerated injury because of the shit that John's not dealing with outside of lifting weights. There's some emotional trauma happening at work, and we just found out that he doesn't actually really like it, and he's just doing it. That's a big flag on the emotional body that is now triggering physical reactions, because your meat suit, your body, is literally just an epicenter for all of the emotional baggage that you choose to carry around. Interesting.
So how do people actually tap into that, like become aware of that? Like, yes, we talked about the game, the test. Do you have any other strategies where people can, to be honest, the other thing that I see a lot of, that's a rubbish truck out in front as well, and they keep yelling as well.
It's amazing.
It's never a dull moment.
Real life in Australia right now.
The other thing that I find a lot of too is the phenomenon that where things travel. Someone will come in one day and they'll go, my shoulder's been really sore, and then the next time you see them, they'll be like, oh, my hip. And it's one, and then it's the next part, and then it's the next part. So how can people tap into or become more aware of what's happening in their body by taking a step back, using some of these techniques rather than being into like thinking about that pain all the time? Oh, my shoulder's sore. And then honestly, if you sit there for long enough and think and focus in on your body with your eyes closed, I could right now tell you about 5 different places in my body that are sore, because I'm bringing awareness to where that is. And then when you focus in on that, it actually increases the perception of pain. So how can people take a step back from that and use some ways to, I'm trying to think of the word here, and the rubbish truck is actually totally distracting me. But yeah, some ways to look at that from a more objective, I'm just going to use the word objective point of view rather than subjective, being in it, stepping back from it.
Meg?
Stepping. My go-to for that is, instead of reacting right away in the moment, literally step back, sit, whatever, like 5 deep breaths, and then do the scan and see what the sensations are. And I found it helpful personally and with clients to think about it more from the word sensation, like what sensations am I feeling or experiencing, as opposed to feelings, because I have a tendency to loop feelings and emotions into one thing and assign a lot of meaning and rankings to them, which digs myself into a much deeper hole. Zooming out, step back, take the breaths and tune into the sensations, and then practicing that like over and over and over again in moments where it's not reacting, but like getting ahead of it. So practicing it when I'm feeling good, or when I'm feeling neutral, or when I'm feeling excited, like any of those things, pause and learn what that feels like. And that took me a while, well over a year of consistent practicing of that, because I had everything so mixed up and just numbed everything for so long because of the pain that I was feeling. Like, I couldn't understand at first how numbing bad things also numb good things. So just being present in the moment without loaded myself up on pain meds or anxiety meds or anything and then be like, oh, this is a sensation.
Actually, I'll tell you something. What the album that you made with Mike, there is a track in there where you talk about, let's just say my right shoulder sore, okay? And then you say in that track, in the guided track, think about the other side that's not sore, right? And so you lead us through that. Like, think about the part of your body that's not sore. And when you do that and you take your awareness to a part of your body that is feeling great and you can move with no pain, then magically the sensation of, pain moves, your mind moves away from that, your awareness moves away from that. And when you come back after doing that process, for me, the pain is definitely lessened. And I'll put a caveat on this, with the breath. The breath helps unlock that. So can you continue like what you were just talking about and also bring into play the importance of the breath?
Yeah, absolutely. Because pain is a learned behavior and learned experience. So we can unlearn it the same way we can learn or unlearn any other habit or response. And the breath part is the key to telling your body that you're safe and it's good, because when we're in that high stress, high threat position, like our tendency is going to be that hold your breath, shallow chest, rapid breathing, fight or flight, like get away from all the tigers. And if we can slow down our breath in the moment, get into that parasympathetic, your body's like, okay, I'm good. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, because pain is just an alarm that doesn't really give us any valuable information. It's up to us and our past experiences or what other people have told us to assign that meaning to it. Like, the best example I have of it is the smoke alarm in your house, right? Like, it doesn't tell you that there's actually a fire. It doesn't tell you how big the fire is. It doesn't tell you like where it's actually coming from. Is it the oven? Is it the microwave? Is it the hair straightener I left plugged in? It's just like, hey, something's going on. And it's up for me to decide how valuable that information is and then what to do with it. And the only way you're going to make a good decision is by slowing down. Like, nothing ever comes from a quick response reactive, whether that's in regards to pain or throwing weights on the barbell or dating or anything. Like, nothing good happens when it's a rush decision.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak here for the majority of people that are in strength seekers, because they're all interested in getting stronger. And often what happens is they will get a little tweak somewhere and straight away they go to, here we go, this is going to go for months. So now I've done this I feel this small sensation in my knee. So what's going to happen now is I won't be able to squat as much as I used to. I won't be able to deadlift. I'm going to lose my strength. So in that one moment, they've gone from there's a tweak in my knee, there's something going on in my knee, to I'm losing all the strength that I've spent months and months building. It goes from zero to hero really fast.
That's a psychological construct called pain catastrophization. And then there's another one that goes with it, that's kinesiophobia, which it turns into fear related to movement. And those are like validated, well-researched psychological constructs that literally predict chronicity. And if people have that response very quickly, you know that it's not going to take a quote unquote normal traditional healing timeline. Like, we can tell from day one somebody's response is what they're saying. Like, this is gonna go sideways, and take other methods to help it, as opposed to just let's put some ice on it and do a couple stretches and be good to go. Like, that's an actual clinical prediction rule that I see day in and day out in my clinic, and it is 100% accuracy.
So that's exactly why we're here. That's why I wanted to get you guys together, because it is impossible. I know I shouldn't use like words like impossible. I shouldn't.
No, you can. Definitely can.
It's hard to become very good at some of the strength movements that we are constantly focusing on, because we choose to. We want to be good at back squats and deadlifts and presses and bench presses and clean and jerks. And the way to get better at them is to do them more frequently. So we are constantly in the same movement patterns. Now, we all know that our bodies were not designed to walk around lifting barbells the same way all the time. So in saying that, we are going to get niggles, sensations. We're going to get overuse, what we call overuse injuries. It's how we react to that that is so important. And that's why I got you guys in here, because Mike, you're talking about firstly tapping into the subconscious, doing the test, okay? And Megan, you're talking about like using the breath and being able to step back and view it as a sensation. And if someone comes to me, I love using the word current. Oh, so you currently have a, you know, rather than talk about, I don't like to use the word injury because that's all encompassing. So you currently have a little bit of inflammation in there, right? So that we can stop the whole going from I have this sensation, and that means that the last 2 years of squatting is all down the drain now. Yeah.
One thing for me that I've learned, and I just had this experience with actually a mutual client between both myself and Meg. He's been up and down, back and forth. He has the chronic, as soon as he feels his ankle or his knee, he thinks he's back. And until recently, this last month, which was a huge breakthrough in he's been with me since 2000, experiencing similar things. And can you walk for 20 minutes? Because we want to get to the point, and Meg, you can come to my rescue here when I butcher this. We want to get to the point where we get to about a 7. If 10 is like, I'm fail, we want to get to the point where we challenge, to the point where we can still recover, because that's where we can build up our efficacy. We can build up our own mindset in doing the thing that was once impossible. So I also want to challenge you need to, because this is something for all you weightlifters out there. I experienced the same kind of rhetoric as a speed skater. The way to get better is to skate more. Incorrect. And this comes back to me in my creativity. This is where I bring in, well, it doesn't work in music. Why should it work in physicality? It doesn't. Here's why. We had numerous, including my own coach, who went under hip surgery because all they did was make freaking left turns all day. And I said, that's silly. Why don't we go right? And then you watch, it's like watching monkeys never walk, try to learn to walk. When you watch a speed skater who's used to going right over left crossovers all of their life to try to take a left foot over their right. It was like they didn't even know what to do. It fell over most often. They couldn't do it. Like physically it was like this, because they'd never done the motor skill. Now, here's where I challenge it, and this comes from Questlove, the drummer for Roots. In his book, Creative Quest, is that when I start shedding on drums and I hit a wall where I'm now no longer getting better, it's because I'm no longer getting better. So to keep on doing the thing would be insanity. Walking away and doing something else and then coming back to revisit it will get you better. Now, here's another look at it, is that there's often talked about flow state. We've heard of this. I think all three of us have talked about this in depth. So flow state is not actually where people get better. Flow state is where people get comfortable. In order to get better, weightlifters, stop doing the things that you're comfortable with. Yes, that includes snatch patterns when you are going to go cross-train. Challenge yourself. You have to put yourself outside of comfort to get better. To do the thing you're comfortable at over and over and over again lets you get really good at being comfortable over and over and over again. And I had one of your lifters who was walking me through their visualization, and they had said, yeah, I see myself on the platform. I went, well, wait a minute, that sounds like you're up here. You're getting really good at visualizing and imagining yourself from third person. You're getting really good at being a passenger in your own life. All of these things come down to like the flow state. That's not actually where you're getting better. And when a lifter gets into their patterns and sees overuse injury, that's because they're in flow state, not challenging themselves. They need to go run. Because when we think about endurance and strength, in order to have one, you need to have the other. That's polarity. Leanne, you just posted about this, about how you're weightlift. We even talked about it opening this up, how we don't run. Why? What would happen if we ran better and had better cardiovascular, right?
Running, come on. I'm happy to cycle and row. I'll cycle and row. Just don't ask me to run.
Absolutely. So my point is putting yourself in uncomfortable. That also, I forget, I think it's the amygdala. Correct me if I'm wrong, one of you. When we do something that's really, really challenging that we don't want to do, for many it's ice baths. When we do that, that part of the brain grows. That's really important for cognitive response. So for us to get better at skill development, we need to have big brains. So putting yourself in uncomfortable, intentional, stressful situations is going to only improve our performance. Regardless, just like Meg said, dating, weightlifting, playing music, speaking, drawing, hanging out with our friends, you name it, across the board, you're going to get better at all of those things if you challenge yourself.
Yeah, 100%. So So that's going down the that's going down when we're talking about overuse injuries, going down another, I'm not going to say a rabbit hole, but that's a training consideration. And I know most of the people in Strength Seekers that we're talking to in our Strength Seekers community, in their programs, I would say equivalent to what you're talking about, Mike, is when we do our interval training. So they get to choose. It doesn't matter. It can be running, it can be cycling, it can be rowing, it can be skipping, but they do their 30 seconds, their 30 seconds, which sounds like not a very long time, but 30 seconds is a long time for a weightlifter, because you think about how long does it take to do a squat, 2-3 seconds? So 30-second intervals with the rest, and then 30-second intervals with the rest. So that sort of thing is the hardest part in people's programs. Yeah. Because it's exactly what you're talking about.
They don't do it. And this is a really good segue, if I can, because like we can talk about when Meg and I started working on, like, we had gotten to the furthest we could get to with just our conscious work, just all the surface and just the language. And then Meg, you can speak to it. She was expressing frustration. She was expressing like, I'm there. I'm doing all of the things. Why is this not taking? So Meg, like, what did we do? Do you remember one or two that you're willing to share that like really helped unlock like a new level? It's like when you go through Super Mario Brothers, you get to like the next boss king. Like, she got to another level because she was able to really address what was coming up when we started going energy code stuff. This is the kind of stuff that when you start getting into emotions, this is where the emotional body comes in, because it's all belief system, guys. Meg, anything that comes to mind?
For sure, the energy code meditations and like creating the sensations myself and like recreating the opposite of what I was experiencing in the moment. Basically, like, it was frustration, sadness. And I remember, like, I said to you, I was like, I don't know how to create like what love feels like right now.
Yes.
So because that's how stuck deep I was in the other part of it.
Yeah. So one of the
practicing
things, like,
and learning that, yeah.
So I'm going to give like a tangible thing for anybody watching, listening. This is like, if you find yourself frustrated with not being able to do something, because that's probably, Leanne, like, what's out of those 6 emotions, what one do you think comes up the most? And we'll just focus on that.
100% frustration, because people can't do something with their bodies that they want to do with their bodies.
Okay, so we could go a couple different routes if we want to do the energy code stuff too, but then I'll also give like the other way of doing it, which we briefly talked about with our mutual client. So if we work at energy code, I am frustrated with insert here. Find out if that's true, because far more often than I'd like to admit, it's actually false. Because like, I am frustrated with me lifting, and they'll break the circle, and they're like, oh, guess what? You're not actually, you might still be frustrated. Because then we go, I am frustrated. I am frustrated about lifting. Shit, everything I thought I knew is wrong. So that's where we go. We start by taking, okay, I am frustrated with, and then we can explore that. So the first step for anybody watching this is find out what you're actually, like, pinpoint it. What are you actually mad about? Is it the lifting, or is it something different? Most often it's something different, and it's just showing up in lifting. You're taking it out on the thing that you love. That's what we do, right? So that's one step that I think would be most beneficial for people to get immediate results, because then they get what we know as information. Okay, cool. We know it's not lifting. Let's narrow it down. I am frustrated with Sam at work. Shit. Sorry, Sam. And now we can go, okay, cool. Now we've got an identifier. Okay, cool. So and then we can talk about what Sam's doing that's causing you frustration. Okay, cool. That's great. And now they go and they don't have, this is the wild thing. They go and they lift again and they don't have any shoulder pain. Explain that. You didn't do anything different. Emotional energy, guys, most often.
And they're more than likely going to be $1,000 richer.
Exactly. Because yes, there is the downstream and the upstream. Sure, the shoulder may. However, if we don't resolve, if we choose to stay and avoid the actual emotional thing, no matter how much kind of therapy you get up and down, it's still going to be there. That's the emotional baggage that's actually contributing to any sort of imbalance. In the most often I see, especially in your line of work, Leanne, is like the trap. And what do? They gnash away on the traps. The trap is overacting because of this guy, usually.
Yeah.
This guy's not actually working.
Yeah.
This guy's the heart. So address the emotion. This guy will start tuning in, and you don't have to worry about that trap anymore.
Yeah.
It's about knowing, okay, well, something is overacting because there's an imbalance. What is that imbalance downstream? And then let's work on that downstream and get to the root of what's actually triggering the downstream from not performing. It's disengaged because you're not listening to the emotional body.
So can you give us, because we've only got another few, like maybe 10 minutes at the most here. So we've talked about, you've given us some great strategies to begin with. Is there another couple of ways, or one or two ways, that they can go downstream? Like, what is a simple way they can go downstream to get that awareness and tap into that? I can think of one straight away with Megan, which is Megan can.
Yeah, Meg.
Music and movement. The music and movement combination.
And so I was doing one of your movements the other day, actually, was the sunshine flow. Sunshine?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's an energy flow, isn't it?
Yeah. That's root sacral solar.
Absolutely. So can you briefly explain, I think in this context, your energy flows are really going to come into their own, because we're tapping not only into the movement, we're not tapping into the strength flows, we're tapping into the movement of opening up, like looking into that energy. So your energy flows fit in really well here. Can you explain a little bit more how they work?
Yeah, so those are grouped in what you'll see in your programming relating to the 7 main chakra systems in the body. And like Mike was saying earlier, like heart block energy stuff is going to show up in shoulder, chest, upper back pain. So some ways we can transmute energy is through subconscious work. Some ways it's through breathing, and sometimes it can be through physical movement by like contracting, relaxing those muscles, or moving the joints through the range of motion. And it's kind of like shaking things up in there, so then it has a new way to move throughout the rest of your body instead of being congested and blocking that energy flow, how it should be moving up and down. So when we're thinking injury or pain wise, and we've ruled out the trauma, the bad stuff of like physically bad stuff like a broken bone or, you know, actual torn rotator cuff or something, and the stretches aren't working and the postural stuff's not working, that's where we go look at the energy flow. And the easiest or most simple starting point is finding the one that I have listed with the body part that goes with it. And then you can start to learn, and then it'll flow and expand. And sometimes I'll go use a heart one, even though I'm having hip pain. But to start with, I'll usually go to a root one and see if it works or doesn't, to move through it and just go in and out through those movements, use the breath, show myself that I'm safe physically, emotionally, all of it. And then you get the frequency music with it, and you're golden.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because now strength seekers, if you're listening and you want some of these and you don't have any of these in your program and you want focus on a particular area, make sure you message me so I can put it in your program, because I put your movement flows in according to what their week looks like in their training. So, and a lot of that's often to do with the physicality. But now that we're delving into this energy, I want people to really take advantage of your energy flows, that they understand a little bit more. Okay, so I've got my shoulders sore, my traps are tight, my upper back's sore, I've got a strain in my rhomboids. That's all heart. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah. Heart, throat.
Heart and throat.
Yeah, things I would look for is just you actually, as the coach or the leader or anybody actually listening to this, has a huge advantage, because when you have a sore throat or when you feel a little sick, you got a persistent cough, it'll show up physically in multiple ways. Each chakra has a very, very explicit symptom. Anybody with gut problems has a personal power problem. Typically, they don't feel like they're really getting where they want to get with people close to them in their life. Whereas somebody who has trap issues could also have challenges speaking what's on their mind, or especially noticeable in the relationship world. You know, people that are lonely, people that are feeling that their backs are up against the wall. You're going to feel it in the rhomboids, you know, like little things like, why do you think we have these sayings? Oh, I got to get something off my chest. Oh, I got something on my mind. Oh, hey, you know, I got a monkey on my back. These are real legit things. It's because when you break out of those shackles by just identifying with space and clarity through breath and movement, you want to get that energy flow like Meg was talking about. Your chakras are all connected. So if you've got a block here, you're going to notice it down in your ankle. Okay? Energy flows both ways, up and down. So it's important to just pay attention, and it's just identifying it. That's when you can move through it. That's why it's great with the energy flows, right?
And that was the point of this chat today, is to bring that awareness to the, because a lot of people even aren't aware that they're not aware of this at all. Zero, zilch. They think everything is the reason my shoulder is sore because I'm overusing it. I lack external rotation. I lack internal rotation. All of the physicality. Yeah. And as a coach, and I see someone struggling with something for a really long time and recurrent. So they'll be like recurrent. So they'll be like, yeah, I feel good. And then you'll see them in 2 weeks and like, it's back. I feel good, it's back. So who, if the strength seekers, what I'm talking about, if that's you, then let's delve into the energy flows a little bit more now that you have a better understanding. Let's do some of that subconscious testing, whether it's actually true. Do I have my shoulder is really inflamed. Like I'm annoyed that my shoulder is really inflamed, or my knee or lower back, and then do the test like Mike said. So before we finish up, is there anything else? I mean, we could do like 5 hours on this. This is an introduction, and we most likely we'll follow up on this to delve a little bit more into it. But is there anything else simple and effective that people can look at doing to help them feel better right now?
The most obvious that comes to me, especially for all you fine folks down in Australia, anytime you feel off, however it is, put your bare feet out in the dirt. The polarity of Mother Nature will automatically recenter your central nervous system. And most often, when we're dealing with emotional baggage, it is because we're in fight or flight, and the pure act of getting into nature and getting off screens and really managing and being diligent about that, being out in nature is going to be the best, easiest, cheap. Nobody wants you to know that, though, because it doesn't cost you anything. It costs you time. That's a lie. It is not free. It costs you your time. And if you're willing to put in 5 minutes a day of getting morning sunshine and putting your feet in the land, you're going to correct everything, because your body's going to harmonize back with Mother Nature. 432. So go listen to I've got a bunch of songs. Mm-hmm. And I do want to say that I know that that is overwhelming for a lot of people. Leanne, I'd be happy to do a little mini workshop where we can do that. And then people have the opportunity to book in some one-on-ones, because it is a one-on-one thing. There's a lot to it that we want to dive deep, but this is a starting point to prove the theory, right? So if people are interested, I'm happy to line something up over the next couple of weeks to really get people rolling that way too.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Thanks. Because like I said, the purpose of this chat was to introduce people to the possibility that there could be another way, rather than physios, chiros, continual strength training, continual stretching, even, and I know you talked about ice baths, but all of those modalities, rather than address what's going on in here.
Of course. Yeah. It's way easier to blame it on something else, right?
So yeah, I will definitely put that out to the community. They'll listen to this anyway, and looking into it, think about it. Just let it sit with you for a while. Any new concept, just sit with it. Don't be like the 20-year-old Leanne, like that person's crazy. My knee's not sore because I'm angry with someone.
What if?
I'm just going to sit with that and see what happens. Go and sit with that out on the grass. We're in the perfect place to sit in the grass. All of us that are in this community, currently in the community, there's Western Australia. It's summer. It's the perfect time. So we've got plenty of grass to sit on, plenty of beautiful water to walk in. Get your feet in that salt water. Those minerals, walking on the sand, and beautiful big trees to, see the kookaburras and go and watch the birds.
Yes, seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go watch the birds. Plenty of birds around. Thank you so much once again for your time, and people know where to find both of you, people in our Strength Seekers. And if you're listening to this and you're not a Strength Seeker, then
what are you doing with your life?
Yeah,
come join us.
Missing out big time. I will definitely make sure that the links are obviously there for both Mike and Megan, and also to Strength Seekers if you're not currently part of this fantastic community. And we'll have definitely going to have a follow up on this one, because this is just that, that iceberg you were talking about, Mike. Just the tip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, and we'll talk again soon. And stay strong, or keep getting stronger. That's what I like to say.
Heck yeah.